Should individuals be held responsible for actions committed while under the influence of drugs or alcohol? This is a question that has been debated for decades, and it remains a contentious issue to this day. On one hand, some argue that individuals who are under the influence of drugs or alcohol should not be held responsible for their actions, as they are not in control of their own behavior. On the other hand, others argue that individuals who choose to consume drugs or alcohol should be held responsible for any actions they commit while under the influence, as they are aware of the potential consequences of their actions. There are several factors to consider when discussing this topic. Firstly, it's important to acknowledge that drugs and alcohol can impair judgment, affect coordination, and alter mood, among other things. Therefore, individuals who are under the influence may not be able to think clearly, make rational decisions, or fully understand the consequences of their actions. However, it's also worth noting that many individuals choose to consume drugs or alcohol voluntarily, knowing full well the potential risks and consequences. Furthermore, the severity of the offense also plays a role in determining whether or not an individual should be held responsible. For example, if someone under the influence of drugs or alcohol causes harm to themselves or others, it's reasonable to hold them accountable for their actions. However, if someone under the influence simply says something offensive or behaves in a mildly inappropriate manner, it may be less clear-cut. Another important factor to consider is whether or not the individual has a history of substance abuse. If someone has a known addiction to drugs or alcohol, it's important to consider the role that addiction may have played in their actions. Addiction is a complex disease that can significantly impact an individual's ability to make sound decisions and control their own behavior. Ultimately, whether or not individuals should be held responsible for actions committed while under the influence of drugs or alcohol is a nuanced and complex issue that requires careful consideration. While it's clear that drugs and alcohol can impair judgment and alter behavior, it's also important to hold individuals accountable for their actions and the potential harm they may cause. It's up to society as a whole to determine the best course of action in each individual case, taking into account all of the relevant factors and circumstances.